With Infinity War coming out this weekend, that makes for 19 films in total for the MCU, which is a crazy output of films for any studio. I mean, in 10 years, that's a lot of films put out, with the 20th being Ant-Man and the Wasp in 2 months. But for now, since I just saw Infinity War, I'm going to give you my ranking for all 19 MCU films to date, from worst to best. And these are just my thoughts. I mean, feel free to let me know in the comments how you'd rank the films. I definitely know there will be some surprises along the way. Some are obvious, some aren't. But let's get into this. And my pick for number 19 is Iron Man 2. I mean, this film really just falls flat in all categories. You know, the plot's not that great. It's all over the place between the stuff with the government versus Tony Stark. Whiplash is a really horrible villain. I like some of the Justin Hammer stuff, but then, you know, they got throw in the stuff with Howard Stark as well. Overall, just not a very solid film, in my opinion. One of the least rewatchable in the MCU. Now, coming in my number 18 pick is Thor: The Dark World. I mean, this, once again, is another very lackluster entry in the MCU, with one of the most very forgettable, very lackluster villains in Malekith. I do like Christopher Eccleston as an actor, but he felt very wasted in this film, and he's just not a very compelling villain at all, with very, not very interesting motivations. And I mean, pretty much everything in this film falls flat, even the comedy in some aspects, but I do like some of the stuff with Thor and Loki. But other than that, I mean, there's a reason why they dropped all the characters in this film for Thor Ragnarok. Coming in at number 17 is Iron Man 3. Now, I really like Shane Black. He's been involved with a lot of films I've enjoyed over the years, but this really isn't one of them. I mean, I didn't mind as much of the stuff with the kid in this as some other people have, but I mean, the Mandarin twist still bothers me to this day, and I really didn't find Guy Pearce or anything involved in the extremist stuff that interesting. There's some good action scenes sprinkled throughout, but not enough for me to really rank this higher. I mean, I didn't really enjoy this film as much. Coming in at number 16 is The Incredible Hulk. I actually did a collab video with John from The Real Talk over on his channel. I'll probably put the link in the description if you want to check that out. So I'll keep my thoughts a little bit brief, but I mean, this really is like one of the more forgotten, one of the black sheeps of the MCU, just because of the fact that Edward Norton and pretty much everybody else in this film isn't in anything else, because Edward got replaced by Mark Ruffalo after this. I mean, it's also very different in tone than other MCU films, but there is a good amount of fun action in this with the Hulk, especially the final confrontation with the Abomination. It's still one of my favorite Hulk moments. Coming in at number 15 is Captain America: The First Avenger. There are stretches of this film I really enjoyed, especially the stuff between Steve Rogers and Peggy Carter, but there are stuff I also just really wasn't that interested in, such as the stuff with Hydra and the Red Skull. I mean, I really feel like Red Skull wasn't really used very well in this, but there are some decent scenes. Probably like the first hour and a half of this really actually interested me, but I mean, that's really about it. I mean, I really like the montages throughout the war, although I wish they kind of showed more of that. But so overall, an okay film. At number 14, we have Ant-Man. Now, I am still kind of disappointed that Edgar Wright didn't get to do his version of Ant-Man, but you can definitely tell his influence is there, especially the stuff with Michael Peña's character, with all his different stories he tells and the way it's told. But overall, it's still a pretty fun, unique film, because it is like a bank heist style film, but set in the MCU. Plus, Paul Rudd and Michael Douglas definitely make this film very entertaining, even though Corey Stoll's kind of not that great a villain, in my opinion. But still, overall, fun movie. I really like it. I mean, I haven't seen it in a while, but I definitely want to check it out again. My number 13 pick is Avengers Age of Ultron. Now, you'd think, you know, you just double everything from the first Avengers film and you got a solid hit on your hands. While there is some entertaining aspects of this film, I do enjoy good parts of it. But Ultron is not as menacing as I wanted him to be. I mean, based off the initial trailers, he seemed a lot more menacing, a lot more creepy, but then he just cracks a whole bunch of jokes in the actual film. And, I mean, it just bothered me, because he's not very intimidating, which is what worried me about Thanos in Infinity War, if he's going to go, you know, crack jokes the whole time. It also felt like, to me, they were just throwing out so many plot threads in this that, you know, just to try and set up future events, that it kind of hindered the actual film as a whole. But overall, still a fun film, just definitely not as good as the original Avengers. My number 12 pick is Thor. I mean, this is a pretty solid fish-out-of-water origin story. I mean, the stuff with Asgard is still just amazing to look at, although the film does kind of suffer once they leave Asgard, because, I mean, once they get on Earth, the film's not as interesting. There's a lot of good humor in this. Chris Hemsworth does a really good job in his first outing as Thor, and of course I have to talk about Tom Hiddleston as Loki, who still is one of the best MCU villains to date. My number 11 pick is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. There is a lot I enjoy about this film, but I am on the fence about, because I really do like the new characters. I just love the team as a whole. The jokes hit, you know. But there's just something about this film I can't put my finger on that I don't like as much. I mean, it's not as good as the original Guardians of the Galaxy. I mean, I don't like Ego as much once he actually is evil. I guess that's the right way to say it. I mean, I do like Yondu. You know, Yondu gets a good arc in this. You know, the team's still great. It's just there's just something about this film that I'm still not sure about why. I mean, I would rank it higher if it was a couple months ago. My number 10 pick is Doctor Strange. Now, I am a little biased because I am a pretty huge Benedict Cumberbatch fan, but there are other things I really enjoy about this film, especially the visuals. I mean, the crazy Inception-style worlds that they, buildings bending in, people running up sides of walls, different universes, all that stuff, and all the trippy magic, because, this is the first time they introduced magic into the MCU. But there are there are other things that suffer in this. I mean, the plot kind of suffers in a lot of aspects, and this probably has one of the worst villains in the entire MCU, because I really could not remember for the life of me the name of Matt Mikkelsen's character until we were talking about it in the MCU live stream that I had a couple weeks ago back with Ryan O'Toole. But, I mean, he's just so forgettable and has, hardly any character development, motivation. He's just evil and he gets no development, and that's part of why I don't like this film as much. At number 9, I have Spider-Man Homecoming. After his brief appearance in Captain America Civil War, we finally get our full-fledged first, Spider-Man film in the MCU, and it's a whole lot of fun. There are so many fun aspects of this film. Peter in high school with all his friends. He actually acts like a normal high school kid in these films, and he's actually played by someone who's relatively young, which is kind of why I like this. I mean, I'm not sold completely on Tom Holland yet. I mean, so far from what I've seen, I do like him, but I can't make him my favorite yet. But so far, he has promise, and I'm hoping to see how good he is in other, entries in the MCU. Also, Michael Keaton as the Vulture is a really great villain. He's definitely one of the better villains in the MCU. Just the evil, conniving, just devious villain. And they made the Vulture look cool, because, if they had used the Vulture costume from the comics, it would have looked ridiculous. At number 8, I have Black Panther. Ryan Coogler really hit it out of the park with this film, building up whole Wakanda and just everything. We saw a little bit of Black Panther in Captain America Civil War, but this is really supposed to be Chadwick Boseman's time to shine as, T'Challa, now he's the new king. And I really feel like one of the things that bothered me about this is the fact that he seemed kind of overshadowed because there's so many great characters in this film, between just everybody and, the villain even, because, Eric Killmonger, Michael B. Jordan also is great. But overall, it's still a very good film. At number 7, I have Thor Ragnarok. Now, this has probably some of my favorite comedy in any of the MCU films. It's just pure fun entertainment. Taika Waititi's humor injected in the MCU is just flat out fun. And Chris Hemsworth and Mark Ruffalo both ham it up more than they ever have in any other MCU film. Sprinkle it in, Jeff Goldblum, some stuff from Tom Hiddleston, and Tessa Thompson as Valkyrie. You got so many great characters in this. And also Hela is a really great villain. Overall, just a very fun, awesome, entertaining film. At number 6, we have Iron Man. I did a collab for this with my friend Adam over on his channel, Almost Sideways. So I'm going to keep my thoughts brief on this as well. I'll leave the link in the description. But, it's the very beginning of the MCU. The start of everything. Robert Downey Jr. just knocks it out of the park, makes this film to takes to a whole nother level, with the action, the birth of the modern day superhero film. And it's just, a fun ride. And, he's just perfect in the role, and it's a very fun, entertaining film. At number 5, we have Guardians of the Galaxy. Now, back when this film was announced, like most people, I really didn't know about this one just because of the fact that I never heard of these characters before. So, I didn't know what to really expect. But James Gunn, shocked us all and made this really great film filled with all these awesome characters, hilarious, quotable lines, and an amazing soundtrack. That even still, it shocked me, but I still love it, and I love the Guardians of the Galaxy now because of it. Ronan the Accuser is one of those very forgettable MCU villains, but everything in this film is just so high that it doesn't really matter how horrible the villain is in this. He's just very forgettable. And my pick for number 4 is the Avengers. Now, but back before Infinity War, this was the moment we were all waiting for. Just all of our heroes coming together, and it just fulfilled every single nerd fantasy I've ever had, seeing all my favorite superheroes growing up come together. And this film just completely delivered in all levels with its epicness. Combining that with Joss Whedon, just perfect. Almost perfect film. The third act of this film is easily one of the best third acts of any film I've probably ever seen, superhero or not. Just because it is just everything I wanted on screen. It is just... I still love it to this day. Couple that with Loki as the villain, it was just the perfect team-up movie. And my pick at number 3 is Captain America Civil War. This, in a way, is kind of like a Avengers movie, but not really. But I really like the drama in this, just because, Team Cap versus Team Iron Man. And neither of them are really right or wrong. Both make valid points, and I feel like that's what makes the film compelling to actually, keep me compelled, just because, they do have good points on each side, register or not register. And I like to divide and the split and the conflict between them, which culminates in obviously several awesome, amazing action scenes, specifically, obviously, the famous one is the one at the airport, which is another very memorable moment in all of the MCU films. My pick for number 2 is Captain America the Winter Soldier. This was the MCU's attempt at making their whole spy espionage thriller, and it actually worked really well. It's one of my favorites in the film. I mean, the Russo brothers did a really great job with this film, giving us that kind of conflict in an MCU film. I never really expected a spy espionage thriller. And, the stuff between Bucky, Winter Soldier, and Captain America, I mean, their whole, drama because, Bucky's back and he's brainwashed, and he's pretty much the villain of the movie. Some of that stuff is just really hits you really hard, and you wonder why people like them both so much still to this day. And coming in at number 1 is Avengers Infinity War. I mean, yes, this is still very fresh in my mind, but I honestly feel like this is the best film they've made so far in the MCU. I mean, it just has everything. It has the best villain. I mean, it has probably some of the best entertaining action scenes, some of the best conflict. Just so many emotional, gut-wrenching moments in this film that we're going to be talking about for another 10 years in this MCU. But anyways, that was just my ranking of the MCU. Feel free to leave in the comments what your ranking for the MCU is, because I really like to talk about it, because I know everybody's going to have a different ranking, because everybody's different. But yeah, so definitely leave a comment. Feel free to leave a like as well. Hit the subscribe button while you're there. Feel free to chat about anything, movies, and all that. But until the next time, I will see you guys later.